This is Jonas J. Campbell from That Park Place, and this is Everything Woke About Picard, Season 1, Part 2. Why am I doing this to myself? I do not know. What in the world is a sister boy?
The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas.
Even more paper books to make the writers look smart.
Promise is a prison, Elnor. Do not make yourself another's jailer.
I can't tell if this is for or against integrity. I'm going to say it's against. Character reading a book to show how smart the writers are.
I caught up on 2 years of back issues of the Journal of Theoretical Cybernetics. I watered your plants. You're welcome.
She's only awkward because she's so smart, guys.
I used to live with a guy who liked paper books. I bothered him too.
Ah, so they know they're breaking canon.
Existential pain of living with the consciousness of death, how it defines us as human beings.
In classic Star Trek, they would have written the episode to incorporate the themes. In this one, they just give you the book review to kill time.
Man can't even take a guilt trip without using a starship.
White main character has no dignity.
He rebuilt your study to the exact specifications. He thought you might feel more at home.
Translation: he thought we might save on the production budget.
It seems a little odd that a working ship should have a hospitality hologram.
I came with a basic installation, sir.
This is yet another hologram and a thinly veiled excuse for an actor to put on a poorly practiced accent.
That's right, baby.
You want to go to Vashti? Are you out of your mind?
White male character should be ashamed of himself.
Is this a secret meeting? Am I technically part of the crew now?
Ah, so they didn't think they could get away with a conference room set.
You didn't already tell him this? He said, lay in a course for Vashti, but you just obeyed like a good Starfleet officer?
Yeah, Star Trek is so stupid. Who would watch a show like Star Trek?
Romulan warrior nuns.
A whole sect of amazing female warriors. Imagine that.
Gia, losing Daj has you thinking about Vashti and the kid.
Oh no.
They write the white main character to be ashamed of his mistakes.
Call Central Station. Tell them it's me.
That was the first thing we did. Frankly, they were not impressed.
I'm not sure why they named the show after Jean-Luc Picard if everyone in the show thinks he's an idiot.
When she looked at me, I felt seen, even though she didn't like what she saw.
I see you.
It's okay to do more than one draft of the script, guys.
It's everything here. The poverty, the degradation, the ethnic strife.
If only he could get his government to help the oppressed, then the races would live in peace.
I allowed perfect to become the enemy of the good.
Heavy-handed dialogue is heavy.
And as a man, he never can be.
Well, that's not very gender inclusive. Gruesome decapitations in Star Trek. Glorification of incest. Half-pint lady character has the strength to overpower and strangle a male character with one hand. I mean, he's really struggling here. Yet another hologram and a chance for this actor to play another version of himself.
Who is this?
They have universal translators, but they have this character speak in Spanish to show off.
He's asking permission to beam over.
This super woke show assumes a character's pronouns in an obvious commentary on gender expectations. They call this character a he half a dozen times in 20 seconds just to show how accomplished she is when it turns out that she's a lady. It's almost as if they're pointing out that heroic deeds are generally done by men. How quaint.
You owe me a ship, Picard.
Nobody is introduced in this show without disrespecting Captain Picard. The brutal torture and murder of an innocent character from classic Star Trek. Gore in a franchise that's been marketed to kids. Lady action hero.
I'm so sorry, my child.
Mercy killing by a parental figure.
Bruce, this is so unexpected.
Another character from classic Star Trek is introduced and is also a horrible person. Also, the most powerful crime boss in the sector just happens to be a lady. Imagine that. Another classic Star Trek character is introduced and murdered. He doesn't die, but we don't find that out till the next episode.
Tea, glass of wine.
Bourbon, straight up.
Yet another classic Star Trek character is a broken person and needs hard liquor just to get through the day.
What the hell are you doing out here, Picard? Besides being in way over your head?
They bring in yet another classic Star Trek character just to have them disrespect Captain Picard.
I assumed it must be some kind of misguided diplomatic mission, saving the galaxy.
Who would want to watch a show about that?
You are taking the law into your own hands.
What law?
Point taken.
Moral relativism.
Ranging is my job. It's not saving the galaxy. It's helping people who have no one else to help them.
While nobody respects the male lead, the female lead is the savior of the oppressed.
She used to be a Borg, like him.
Oh, wow.
She's that Ranger. She's notorious.
Compare this to the way that they talk about Captain Picard. In classic Star Trek, 7 of 9 was never trusted because of her Borg past. But now that the sets have mood lighting, she's the coolest character in the whole show.
7, the ex-Borg Fenris Ranger from the Delta Quadrant.
The writers really love this character. Classic Star Trek character is revealed to be in a relationship with a female subordinate.
Agnes for the knockout!
Remember 2 episodes ago when they said he's an unlikable loner? The only thing that's happened since then is one space battle.
Hey lady, you looking to get snake bit?
Drug use in Star Trek.
Jazel.
You know him?
Her. She butchers ex-Borg for parts.
Assuming pronouns to flip gender expectations once again. Also, we've already met this character, so it seems like the writers are just giving the female lead one more opportunity to correct everyone.
The Jazel something she wants in exchange for Maddox. Something she'll find irresistible.
Like what?
Like me.
By the way, I forgot to mention that they made 7 of 9 into a lesbian for the reboot.
You seriously really need to sell this. You can't do your broody, existentialist spaceman routine.
By routine, are you talking about the fact that he acted all gruff when they introduced his character, and then by the next scene he was acting like a nice guy?
The name is Rios.
Another part of the script where the actor gets to use yet another accent. Imagine that.
Call me the king. All my friends do.
Wait on Nari. Can smell when you're not telling the truth.
Seriously?
Also what you had for dinner, and the last person you had sex with.
If they're not the same thing.
Sexual cannibalism in Star Trek.
I thought that I looked appropriately sinister.
No comment.
Captain Picard sure is an idiot. Am I right?
I admire what you do out there with the Rangers.
A show that falls all over itself to disrespect the male lead stops to praise the LGBT heroine.
Paramount Picard, you've got this.
It's only 5 episodes in, and this is the first time this character has shown any sign of respect to Captain Picard.
I'm clean. I feel good.
A storyline about the consequences of addiction in Star Trek.
I thought it could be music. Hoped might even be the word. It is good to see you again, Annika.
Captain Picard enters without making a stink, but the lesbian hero is so amazing she can't help but be recognized.
How did I escape the great Jazel? A fortune in Borg tech, and you lost it. You lost me.
Lady Crime Boss is a lesbian too. Imagine that.
Picard? The famous Admiral Picard? It appears you thought you were playing when you were being played.
All of a sudden she knows his name when she needs to disrespect him.
I take it you had no awareness of Annika and my close personal relationship.
Rewriting classic Star Trek characters to make them LGBT despite being straight in the source material.
Keep it light. Keep it bright. Keep it...
In case you ever need a vigilante.
In that entire action sequence, the Super Ninja Monk didn't do anything, but we might need a disgruntled half-robot lesbian action hero to bail out the sister boy.
This is for him.
Vaporizing with blood spatter in Star Trek. Also, didn't 7 of 9 just leave? Why did she come back by herself, suspiciously without any of the main cast? Did they decide to add a lesbian revenge subplot in reshoots? Machine gun laser action lesbian.
One thing I have to atone for.
What do you mean?
They brought this guy back from the dead just to kill him again.
I'm so sorry.
Despite the fact that she's murdered a helpless person, this character is still a crew member for at least another season.
Sounded like a nightmare.
Extramarital cohabitation.
That's not my name.
With a stranger.
I never slept with the captain of anything before.
Sudden extramarital relations between 2 characters with 0 chemistry.
Do you dream of it too?
Implication of incest in a Star Trek series.
Okay, all right, just back off. Back off.
Space alcoholism. Space drugs.
Knew I should have screened that call.
Lady Captain.
You know, Picard, every part of that guy that's not ego is rampaging id.
Misuse of ego and misunderstanding of id. Either way, the show never misses an opportunity to take the legacy hero down a peg or 2.
I'm still planning on drinking myself to death.
Alcoholism jokes from a main cast member on Star Trek. At this point, it's just sad.
Welcome to the Borg Reclamation Project. I don't know what you're doing here, but I'll help you any way I can.
Oh, I'll take a friendly face.
Only 6 episodes in, and a grand total of 1 person has recognized and respected the white main character. The Romulan spy that knew the main character is a robot genius ninja girl forgets that the main character is a robot genius ninja girl.
This one is from after your time. The Borg acquired the technology after assimilating Sicarians. It has a theoretical range of
40,000 light years.
She's smarter than everybody. Vulcans don't need sunglasses because they have an inner eyelid,
which acts as a shield against high-intensity light.
Okay, but
my mind to your mind. My thoughts.
So she's a Vulcan with a Japanese name, but she's also a member of an ancient Romulan society too. How convenient for the writers. Also, aren't all these woke people supposed to be super concerned about consent?
And I'm tractor locked to a Borg cube full of Romulans!
This is not how the last episode ended, and how they got here is not explained. I know this because I've seen every moment of this awful show.
Where have you hidden Picard and the synth?
This character was also not in this situation when the last episode ended.
Because you...
Tiny lady overpowers a cybernetically enhanced human.
What about Elnor?
These two characters were actually together at the end of the last episode, and the guy on the right would rather die than run. So did they literally just cut the end of the last episode for budget reasons? I am so confused.
What's that? Called a compass.
Genius robot ninja girl knows everything, except what a compass is. And a girl who obviously spends a lot of time out in the woods on this property needs a compass. That one's not woke, it's just bad writing.
He's even older than Picard.
Nobody respects Captain Picard.
My arrows are real though, but I would never shoot you because I'm a pacifist, but I could.
They spend more time establishing this female character than they do anyone else in the show.
They're old friends.
I guess we're about to find even more classic Star Trek characters that hate Picard. It's episode 7 and Picard finally gets a hug.
You're in trouble. How bad?
Bad enough.
They've taken a character who spent 7 seasons as a paragon of lawfulness, and they treat him like he's a second-rate Han Solo who's behind on his car payments.
Oh, you need a place to hide out.
Captain Picard wasn't a criminal, he was a military commander.
I sense nothing, I can't read her.
Well, at least Deanna Troi is consistent.
I sense nothing. You can lie down inside this room and rest while Will makes us dinner.
Pizza and the wood fired up.
They take another straight white Starfleet captain and turn him into a bit of a kook. And he cooks. And not in a cool way like Benjamin Sisko.
Where did you learn all this?
In my father's restaurant in New Orleans.
Behold a wild girl of the woods. Nicely done.
You cut out the venom sacs.
Nope, I left them in so we can all spew black bile and die.
Adventure Girl is adventurous.
Can you run super fast and jump really high and bend steel with your hands?
Yes, I can.
She's a superhero, just like all people who are neither white nor male.
My dad said he was the greatest Starfleet captain ever.
It only took 7 episodes, but finally someone gives Captain Picard the respect he deserves.
The language that Castro is speaking.
Vivine, spoken by the wild girls of the woods.
They really put some time into this Adventure Girl character.
Last week would have been his 18th birthday.
Just so you know, all the classic Star Trek characters are in intense emotional pain.
I'm not as brave as I used to be, Jean-Luc.
Then you're getting wiser.
I'm surprised. They let Deanna Troi show vulnerability, and the white Captain Man says something worthwhile. Great job. Hyphenated last names.
Now, you come along for a ride with Auntie Rafi. She's gonna hook you up with whatever you need.
Drug dealing by a protagonist in Star Trek.
I'll stick to making pizza.
At least it's not a sandwich.
You were the greatest captain ever.
The greatest captain ever? Where'd you get that nonsense?
From you.
From me? Huh. Must have been drinking at the time.
Manly talk.
Could it have anything to do with the fact that she's clearly an android? How am I doing?
Not bad.
So Will Riker is now a white male character that isn't an idiot. Do the writers just dislike Jean-Luc Picard?
It's a silicon-based virus, and in theory, completely curable. You just have to culture the infected cells in an active positronic matrix, but there were no active positronic matrices, and no one was allowed to develop new ones.
So if the girl who is the key to everything had existed earlier, then she would have saved the lives of characters that aren't even in the show.
Do you have any idea what that young woman's been through?
Ah, here we go. Now we get to see how stupid he is. Glorification of trauma. And Riker can't even cook a pizza right.
You need to be Jean-Luc Picard. Compassionate, patient, curious.
I'm sorry, I think you've confused the main character of this show with that guy from Star Trek The Next Generation.
One other thing, useful.
You said it, not me.
Let us help you, Jean-Luc. We'll find a way forward.
She is so wise. Another classic Star Trek character is murdered. The Troi Rikers better watch out. Also, if she can throw knives that well, why doesn't she throw one at the guy who's threatening her with a sword? Okay, so was she planning to beam out before she shot him? This show makes no sense.
I'm more like the wreckage of a good person. In an emergency, you can slap together a temporary good person out of the pieces.
You have been found guilty of murder. Your sentence is to talk it out with a drug addict for one entire scene.
After the attack, she discovered that she possessed extraordinary defensive capabilities, like you.
I guess she must be the key to everything.
I've known this man for 35 years.
Will.
Disrespect of Captain Picard must have its day, Will Riker.
I was haunted by my past, marking time, wasting my life.
Yet another character longs for the sweet embrace of death.
I have to find out where the we're going.
It's in the Vite sector, the Julian system.
Adventure Girl is so smart. Protagonist appears to commit suicide. When the ultimate ninja warrior sister boy needs help, he doesn't call his friends. He calls the disgruntled half-robot lesbian action hero.
Rios. ETA.
Same as the last 2 times you asked me.
Disrespect of the white main character. This makes yet another artistic representation of the girl who's the key to everything. Also, yet another talent for the Adventure Girl. The super talented girl character hands over a compass. Very subtle. That's the end of part 2. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Is there anything we missed? Is there something else you'd like us to cover? For more, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter @JonasJCampbell, or stay tuned to thatparkplace.com.